What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Losers Lounge here. Back-to-back Losers Lounges. This one a painful one, man. This might be the worst, toughest Losers Lounge of the season. I don't know. I can't remember. I tend to forget losses.
Well, it was so darn close to a winner's lounge.
It was so close.
And so close to not just a winner's lounge, but a really hype night.
A really hype one for sure.
And we wanted Jamal Murray to play better. That was stardom, super stardom
stuff. That was
stuff.
Bubble Murray, man.
The stuff you're hoping to see, not just good, but great, to let it slip away. Yeah, it's gut-wrenching.
I got a lot of takes on this, but first, of course, we're presented as always by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Use promo code DNVR when you sign up. Brennan Vogt, Devalier Johnson, not even giving you guys a second to, unless you have something to say.
Hey.
Nothing. How are you doing, Dev? You guys don't know. Take you behind the scenes a little bit of the DNVR process. Dev, when the show is on, speaks. When the game is on, no speaking.
Dead silent.
I'm not really a talker. That's just my personality is not a talker.
Unless you're doing it for a living.
Yeah. I'm a gamer. That's just what I am. Some people are just different than what they are when the lights come on. I'm a gamer.
There you go. Silent assassin. So, to kind of break down what happened in this game, the Nuggets up big. 20 points they were up going into the final seconds of the first quarter. They give up a three, whatever. Up 17 points. The bench unit comes in that, to end the first and start the second. They actually had a good start to the end of the first quarter when they first came in. Start of the second quarter just get absolutely obliterated. Starters come back in, can't stop the bleeding. Denver allows 46 points. We always focus on end-of-game stuff, and look, we're going to talk a lot about the end-of-game. To me, though, you can complain about a foul call, you can complain about lineups, rotation, challenges, whatever you want to complain about. 46 points in the second quarter. Do you remember when Denver gave up 50 points to Golden State a couple years back at home? And I felt like it was the greatest display of dominance I've ever seen. Denver almost allowed that to happen to Washington tonight. They got dominated worse because I think in that game Denver at least scored 35 points.
Anyone want to guess how many bench points Washington had? I don't know if you looked.
Oh no.
71.
Well, a lot of these are Bertans, but even without him.
To Denver's 35, and a lot of that, of course, was the second quarter. Bench came in, and the entire floor dropped out, Dev.
That's easily the impact of the game. For them to lose momentum like that in the second quarter, and then expect the starters to come in after one team has all of the momentum. There's just no way you could stop a freight train from coming at you. And, the Nuggets starters tried everything that they could to slow things down. It ended the half on a bad note, but they fought back to get into this game. So if you look back and they lose this game by a hair, that's where you got to, start with. And that was the story of the game.
Yeah, it really was. That second quarter, Jokic was phenomenal to open this game, picked up right where he left off. He was good the rest of the way. He went through a little bit of a lull, but he wasn't great, and I felt like he lost something. Frustration. I think played with a lot of frustration down the stretch, some bad defensive blunders, and there's that. But at the same time, he had 33 points tonight. It's not on Jokic. Late in the game, Jamal Murray, who I thought had moments in this one, a little up and down, game on the line, and it's time for him to go to bubble form, and he did. And I'm telling you, there's something. This is, I guess, maybe I should save my Murray take because it's a real positive one. It's a complicated one, but I do think there's something too. When Murray's looking to score, he scores like anybody else in the NBA. When he's looking to do anything else, it's mixed results. It's inconsistent, and I think there's something there. But before we get there, just Dev, what do you blame this loss on? Where do you think all attention should be pointed towards?
That second quarter, you can't hide from it. That is the actual, they were up 20 points, they go down 5 going into the half. That's the full game.
Oh man,
you can't say anything about execution. You couldn't be able to say anything about how it ended.
So true, Dave,
because they were up by 20 at one point and allowed the team to come back as soon as the starters went out of the game. That is just very, very rough. And that's why it's also, we've talked about how important it is for certain people to be in certain groups. You take one guy out of the group, it changes the whole dynamic of that second unit. That's why it's so important for teams to be healthy and for guys to come back, because one thing that changes the aspect of the full game. This is a game that I know that people are not going to think about it, but this is a game that Millsap would have been great because it switches things. It gives a different change of pace.
Yeah.
Well, especially because JaMychal Green had ultimately a tough game. You look at the box score, it's not that bad. To switch it up, Dev, for the sake of variety, I will focus on execution, late games, and end of game stuff. His foul on Davis Bertans was not even his guy, and I think he understandably assumed that MPJ maybe wouldn't be there. MPJ kind of was that time, and Green commits the foul, and the late game situation, it's really, really easy to pin it on him. I kind of get where his head is at in that moment.
But, I think he deserves a lot of criticism for this game.
Yeah,
You're right. The context of it is all these other things happen, and there's a lot of pieces. But when you get to a tie game after clawing your way out, they were down double digits with like 2 minutes to go. It was a very quick Jamal Murray flurry to kind of get them back to even in this game. All you have to do is play smart basketball. We think about this last year in the playoffs, the most painful moment of maybe one of the most painful moments of the whole season. Denver looks like they're about to split with the Lakers, and you just have a defensive player check in that just makes a boneheaded play and gives up a wide open three. This was like that. Now people are arguing, and I know there's an argument to be had about whether or not that was a foul. It's tough. I hate the NBA more than anybody else with how they call fouls on shooters, because it's just like all graces go towards the shooter. You have to give so much room, and it's so hard to contest. And Bertans sticks the leg out a little bit, not to the side. Sometimes guys will stick it out to the side. They'll call offensive. He sticks it out a little bit. He kind of jumps forward a little bit. Both guys, when Bertans jumps and JaMychal jumps, it doesn't look like they should make contact with each other, but Bertans adjusts a little bit. I just don't think you can count on that call in that moment. That's where I would go with this. Is it a bad call? I would bet the last 2-minute report tomorrow says no, good call.
I think that the argument is he didn't allow the shooter to come down,
right?
Especially with Bertans going berserk, he went nuclear,
right.
So he overplayed it and he didn't allow him to come down. So that's where it's going to come. Plus, momentum kept going with him. It wasn't like JaMychal tried to do anything. He tried to get out of the way, but the momentum went with the shooter. So although Bertans did do it, push his leg out, it was the right call for the referee, in my opinion. I do have to give credit to Scotty Brooks for that call. That is a very difficult play for the Nuggets to be in. You have Russell Westbrook, you have Bradley Beal, and then you have this guy that has had an amazing game, and you decide to go with the guy that's the hot hand. You wrote the hot hand and let him make the play.
Well, it kind of just fell into his lap. I think they ran some action, couldn't get it, and it's a scrambled play, and that's part of where the chaos was. I will say on that play, and I watched it a couple times, Michael Porter's on Bertans, and you're right that JaMychal Green kind of runs over. I don't think it was out of non-trust for Michael Porter. I think it was that there was 2 seconds on the shot clock.
Okay.
There was no time, and
Sure.
Bradley Beal's trying to get a shot off, can't, kind of gives a grenade to Bertans, and he kind of lunges over at him. But had he not done that, I actually don't know that MPJ was in position to contest that. I think Bertans gets a look off. He's in position to run at him and put a hand in his chest, but not in a way that was going to affect the shot.
Right.
So to me, it looked like it was a little...
I have one more note for you guys on that end of game situation. More than one, but while we're here, Facu in for Gary.
Yeah,
in
I know.
Final possession. I can't necessarily point to that decision and say it cost them, but a curious decision nonetheless. Dev, do you have just sort of thoughts on it in general?
No, especially if Gary Harris is supposed to be your defender. You would try to put them both on the court if you're going to go with that. But for you to switch off Gary and to put Facu on, maybe it does say something else. Maybe, he wasn't feeling well throughout the game, or you just don't trust him quite yet to make a defensive play. But he played for the entire game. You kind of got to trust him there.
I strongly agree. Gary's earned it. Gary is part of this is just about reputation. If Jokic missed a shot, you wouldn't say, well, we're not going to Jokic down the stretch. It's you've earned it. That being said, I like for Campazzo on there as well. His defense is elite.
Right.
And in that moment specifically, he's heady, he's quick. I also want him out there. You stuck with Michael Porter in this one, and maybe some of that was just for size or what have you. But when if you're just talking about you have 30 seconds, or I don't know what it was, 15 seconds to defend, you can't give up a mistake. Who do you want on the court?
Right,
Michael Porter's maybe last on that.
Right.
And again, he ran out it. I'm not trying to say that was his fault or anything like this, but I definitely could have seen both guys being out there. I will say, though, I'm not surprised Campazzo was on the court there. And tell me if this is something or nothing, but Malone did use his challenge early in this game, in the second quarter, on a foul call on Campazzo that saved free throws. So it wasn't that it didn't do anything. It was on a shot. But Malone used the challenge that early on a play that didn't mean that much. In fact, Washington got the ball out of bounds. You effectively saved. Russell Westbrook going to the line is 1.7 points if he goes to the line, right? meaning he probably hits 2, but maybe he hits 1. You get a stop, and now they get the ball out of bounds. Their offensive rating about 1.2. You saved about 1.2. So you really made a difference of 0.5 points. So, like if you just look at the odds, you save 0.5 points, and it's the second quarter.
I think it's something. I think Malone loves this guy.
I think he loves him. It's just like
Mason
protect him
in guard form a little. He gives everything he has, every possession, every defensive possession, and I think Malone is going to respond to that.
It's certainly a questionable call, especially when you have a player like Nikola Jokic, who's your best player, that makes like weird calls, and the refs actually play him awkward.
Right.
So I would assume that whenever you do make a call, it is to try to save your best player and to keep him on the floor. So for it to be on Facu, which I've actually been seeing, he always makes like one for Facu. That's like the third one this year that he's used on Facu.
Right.
And it's like the timing in the game. They started to get momentum, but it wasn't something that was changing the game. Like you said, it was going to be like one point really is what is going to change.
Less than a point.
It's not doing anything for you in the long haul. And there was a lot of times that you could have used that. We've seen the last play of the game. That's something that you could actually go with and say,
you could have challenged the 3-point shot. You never know.
Right. For the record, I don't think they win either of those challenges.
I agree.
But I understand what you're saying.
Refs, especially like a last 2-minute report, I feel like they still err a little 60-40 on the side of let's just give our referees the break. Right. But on a review, it's 70-30. Maybe 80-20. On a call like that, it better be obviously the wrong call for them to overturn it, or else they're gonna stick with the call. But it's tough, but it's just something to kind of keep an eye on, I guess, with Campazzo here. Jokic again. If we go back to the first quarter and try to talk about some of the positivity, Jokic picked up exactly where he left off. I mean, literally 6 of 6, 15 points, just dominant. Looked like there was nothing they could do against him. Early on in this game, I thought Michael Porter was as good as I had ever seen him defensively. And just you could tell that we talk about when he does the little stuff, the rest of the game comes to him. He gets 14 points tonight, which isn't for him, we expect that. 14.7 rebounds. But I felt like most of his points actually just came off of the flow of the game, hustle, because he injected himself into the game.
Dev called for this at the beginning of the game. We said, what would an MPJ game bounce back look like?
Yeah,
the one that you're looking for. And Dev pretty much said exactly this, 15-7 and the right approach. There were some horrible shots tonight, one, maybe two. One stands out particularly right now, the one where he's off balance from 3 and there's 11 seconds left on the shot clock. I thought he played a good game tonight. I really did.
Do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did you think he played a good game tonight?
I think that he did until he didn't.
I agree.
I think that's what it was.
Right, yeah.
But also, if you take away, to Vogt's point, if you take away those two, I have no idea why he shot those type of shots.
Right.
Then you would say that was not a bad game and he was not unplayable. He was making smart reads. He's help side. He's doing everything, hustle, rebounding, doing everything that he needs. But then the first thing and the biggest thing that comes in your mind is those two shots. That really just was – it was actually more than 2 shots, but those 2 shots are the ones that stood out because he was trying to be aggressive. But like you said, the points came when he was in the flow of the offense and it was not forced. Soon as he started forcing it and getting back to the Michael Porter Jr. ball that they're trying to get him away from is when it was pressing. That's when it became too much for him and you start to see those flaws in his game. If he plays within the flow of the offense, it comes so much easier. You have Nikola Jokic on your team.
And I'm going to give him not a pass, but we're talking about the game in the full context. If Michael Porter approaches every game the way he approached this one, I do think that that's how he's going to improve game by game. This was better than the last one, no questions asked.
By far.
And it's one of those things where did he make some mistakes? Did he take some bad shots? Yes, but you did enough of the other good stuff early on that I'm like, okay, just try to do that. I think Michael Porter tonight, what did he play? Probably 30. He gets 31 minutes. I would say he had 15 good and 15 good, 10 mediocre, 5 really bad, and just get that up a little bit more. Next game, do the same thing, but try to get 20 great minutes in there.
Well, you could also see that it was a game that Malone did stick with him because he's out there on the last play.
Yeah, he was out there.
We know that Malone will pull you if you're not doing what you have to do. You're not playing defense. You're not making smart reads and things of that nature, especially with Michael Porter Jr., you will not be playing late in the game. So he did enough early on for him to still be a part of the game. If he doesn't take those 2 bad shots, we're thinking that this is an okay game from him.
Yeah, and he'll find it. I know it's frustrating because I know Michael Porter is a volume scorer. He wants a lot of touches, a lot of shots, and a lot of rhythm, and he's not getting them. So that's oh, is this a time, like trying to find, like force opportunities for him to get in it. But it takes, in my opinion, it takes a level of trust from him that those are going to come once once you establish that you can do this other stuff consistently. Jamal Murray's game, we should talk about. Thank you very much, super producer Kale. We should talk about Jamal Murray's conclusion here now, because to me, this is another big story. This is one of my big talking points, and I'm pretty sold on it. Jamal Murray's inconsistencies, the more I watch, the more I analyze, the more I think it actually comes down quite a bit to what his role is on this team. I think he's a scorer. I don't think he's a point guard. And that doesn't, when people hear point guard, I think they it's an insult. You're not a point guard, you're a scoring guard. But Jamal Murray, when he's focused on scoring, does this so much. What he did tonight, I mean, how many points did he have in the fourth quarter alone? I don't even know.
Was it 16? Was it
21 fourth quarter points.
21? Wow.
When he is zeroed in on scoring, and he's not a guy that takes bad shots when he's trying to score. He still knows, okay, this, I don't have it, just get it out of my hands. I just want him focused on that. The other part, when I say point guarding, he's still running pick and roll. He's still doing even running fast breaks or whatever. I just want to have somebody that he can kick the ball to that steadies the offense. That he doesn't ever have to think about who hasn't touched the ball lately. Where's the mismatch? He doesn't have to think about that. He just has to think attack and pick and roll, make the shot, get it to Jokic, whatever. If not, don't think about anything else.
Yeah. So in football, this is the thing that always comes to mind. The quarterback. Whenever there's a black quarterback, for some reason, they always say that they're running quarterbacks. So then the black quarterback chooses, I don't want to run, so I'm going to stay in the pocket and throw. Even though they're the better runner,
good at running,
they're doing everything in the game, and it's the most effective offense for them, and it just makes them go away from what's working. Jamal Murray is a scorer. He's not a point guard. But in his mind, he wants to prove that I could run an offense. I could do everything. I could put guys into their spots. But no, what's best for you, what's best for the Nuggets is you scoring the ball. Bubble Murray only came because he was scoring the basketball. Nobody remembers great passes from Murray in the bubble. Nobody cared about it. They wanted to see him score, and that was the way that they won those games. Be what you are. Michael Porter Jr. is a scorer. Score the basketball.
Yeah.
Be what you are.
And honestly, I think part of what the hang-up here is, what does it mean to be a scorer? You can almost label it, he's a pick-and-roll point guard. And then you need the game manager,
right.
It's not that he's not a point guard; he's just a shooting guard. He's not JJ Redick. You're not trying to run him off screens. You want him in the pick and roll a lot, repeatedly. You just don't want him to have to spend any mental or physical energy on anything else other than it's my time to go now, because he's so freaking good at it. 13 of 25 tonight, 5 of 10 from 3. He even gets 9 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, and a block. I honestly wonder what he would look like if he just never had to think about any other aspects of the offensive game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's a big mystery that at times we've seen both Jamal and Jokic look prolific alongside either Monte or Facu. I really, really don't. If you're looking for positive takeaways from this game, there really is one. I mean, we finally got some evidence, which is what we're looking for here, okay, maybe this is just who Murray is across regular seasons, and that's going to be frustrating. But I think at least 6 out of 10 Nuggets fans right now would say, give me Jamal Murray in the playoffs.
Right.
Tonight was another reminder, it's winning time, I got you.
Yeah.
And by the end of that fourth quarter, he chucks up that bomb 3 to tie the game, and I'm thinking, that's in the whole way. Right. And that's Bubble Murray stuff. And
that was beautiful, too, man. That's a long 3.
It's just nice to be reminded, not a hypothetical, not a myth. When it's winning time, we've seen Jamal Murray be this guy. More evidence that that's who he is.
Let's take our first break. King of the game, sorry. We do have king of the game there, Cal. 35 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. If you would have told me anybody other than Jokic was going to be king of the game after that first quarter, I'd have been no chance, no chance. But Jamal Murray, man, he was better in the fourth than Jokic was in the first, which is kind of crazy to say. But let's take our first break. On the other side, Campazzo, Hartenstein, Monte Morris, and Jermichael Green. We need to talk more about Jermichael Green and just his role on the team.
I'll do this ad read. Kale, let's roll that Zoom Care ad first, buddy.
You got him there.
So what exactly is video care? Well, video care is like a trip to Zoom Care, just from your couch. You can see, hear, and chat with your doctor, just like a traditional in-office visit. Get secure access to urgent, primary, and specialist care, including mental health. It's all from the comfort of your own home. Video care is covered by most private insurers, usually with a copay. Head to zoomcare.com/video to get started.
Let's talk about Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. when we're talking beer, we're talking Breck Brew, we're talking to you about the Mile High City Copper Lager, the official Denver Nuggets themed Breckenridge Brewery beer. It's delicious, it's drinkable, they go down easy when you're watching the Nugs win or lose. Doing the latter a little too much lately. But make sure you check out the Mile High City Copper Lager. If you don't know where to do it, punch it into the Breck Beer Locator. Tell them what flavor you're looking for. Tell them where you live. They'll tell you where to find it down to the nearest 10th of a mile. And we can talk about more than beer now, guys. We can also talk about seltzers.
Boozies.
Breck is finally introducing their seltzer line, and it comes in a beautiful Jokic 15-pack, baby. They got apple, pear, cherry, peach, berry, honeydew. I've tried them all now, guys. I have to say they're all winners. I actually mean that. They're delicious. It's going to change the seltzer game. Head to the Breck Beer Locator, see where the closest 15-pack is, and pick one up.
All right, back here on the...
One more.
Oh, you got another one.
That's right. Time and time again, the one thing that will protect you against economic downturns is an education that allows you to adapt. MSU Denver Online puts a dynamic education at your fingertips without forcing you to decide between earning a degree and living your life. Nothing's more important right now than not really having to choose, to being able to prioritize your safety, your convenience, doing things from home, but still keeping those gears turning. Because a lot of you, the world didn't stop turning. You still need your education. So check out MSU Denver Online. It's the Colorado institution providing rigorous and affordable online programs taught by professors who bring the real world into the classroom. MSU Denver graduates use their relevant degrees to land coveted jobs. Some of our very own staff members at DNVR have taken classes there before. Check out MSU Denver Online. Don't choose. Put that dynamic education at your fingertips now.
Can I go now? Can I
Whenever
get
you're
back
ready, buddy.
Into the Losers Lounge?
Whenever you're ready.
Back here in the DNVR Nuggets Losers Lounge, again presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. So let's talk now. I guess I'll round out our conversation with the starters. We were clamoring for JaMychal Green to start for a long time, and this is just one game of him starting here. But it's also, and Denver got off to a great start early on, but it is a sort of the last, like if we take a step back and look at the last 7-8 games, he's been in a little bit of a slump, and those, maybe we're just being, we're soured on the fact that he was in there for those 2 fouls and committed those 2 fouls. But what is the state of JaMychal Green right now, Dev?
Before even coming into the game, I think that he has been in a funk. He just hasn't been doing the same things that we had seen from him earlier in the season, like just bringing that energy and that calmness to that second unit. When he's doing well and when he's calm, the second unit is calm. And we just haven't seen the second unit win games or do great in games, so we can't be high on JaMychal Green. But I mean, this was a game that he came in and he was good on the defensive end until like late game execution. He controlled the paint. It seemed like he was the aggressor with Paul Millsap out because I mean he was the one that was stepping over and help side. He comes around with 4 blocks in the game. He hit a few good shots, big shots in the game, but I mean that late game execution from him was just it was brutal. Like 2 plays in a row. I know he's feeling down right now.
We actually might be looking at this as a nice little bounce back game from him without those plays.
Yeah, he had
3 of 4 from the field, 2 of 3 from deep, 10 rebounds, 2 offensive boards, 2 assists, 4 blocks to Dev's point. He had some good moments. He was actually that solid rock, but commits 5 personal fouls. 3 of them are one's an and one. It's a dumb foul. He wraps up a guy. I think it's Lopez who already has position. Yep. Then he fouls Bertans and, of course, the foul on Beal. And those really, really stand out. He's also the last guy back that gets beat at that play at the end of halftime when Alex Len catches the Hail Mary and dunks it. So mental mistakes mar an otherwise pretty solid performance from JaMychal. And you just hope he doesn't get too in his head about that.
It also maybe messes with the bench a little bit in the rotation. Of course, we saw Hartenstein tonight. You know, he hadn't necessarily been a mainstay for the last little bit, but you go with him. And you run basically 5 guards off there. Najee played a little bit, as well. He gets 13 minutes in here, Hartenstein 10. But a lot of the minutes with that second unit were 1 big, 4 littles, right. 4 perimeter players. Right. So, that was interesting. But if we go to Hartenstein tonight, he only got 10 minutes. He does go 4 or 5 and gets 8 points, 1 rebound and an assist. What did you see from him tonight, Vogt?
I'm sorry, I was just checking.
Hartenstein.
It wasn't terrible, 4 or 5 from the field, but it just, he always looks a little out of control, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just like trying very hard and maybe thinking or in control of his body, a step behind that. 3 personal fouls tonight, but 4 or 5 from the field. I mean, he wasn't the low light of the bench, I thought.
Early on, he was another one that was like a first half, second half, because early on, I thought he was great, phenomenal. In fact, we even got a DNVR Nuggets tweet out of it with him kind of rolling. Second stint, not so great at all. And again, to your point, if you look at the free throw discrepancy tonight, Denver Nuggets take 18. The Washington Wizards take 34. almost twice as many. And a lot of this, again, I talk about it all the time, but so much of this is about picking up really dumb fouls early that don't necessarily punish the individual player that put them, especially when it's a second unit, but you get a team in the bonus, and then it's
Right.
so hard. A team's offensive efficiency, points per possession, goes up a lot, like 20-30% when the defense is forced to play in the bonus.
The wild thing about the bonus part is it didn't start until the second quarter. In the first quarter, the Wizards did not shoot a single free throw.
Really?
And then just
Wow.
when the second unit came into the game is when the fouls started, and
Yeah.
from there it opened up the floodgates. Hartenstein really did start this game off pretty well. He gave great energy. He scored tough shots at the rim. Like he was a paint beast because the Wizards didn't have the
Yeah.
size to match him, and he looked like he was going to be off to a good game.
Right.
And then that's when they went on the run, and then it was just a little bit too much for them. And then they tried to put in the starters, but the floodgates was already open.
He was the other guy that fouled Bertans in a 3 as well. It was a bit of a touch foul.
Man,
but-
yeah, he does get some tough
Yeah,
calls.
he does.
But again, you can't. That would be one to challenge. It's 3
Right.
points.
Right.
Although it'd probably also be side out of bounds for the Wizards there. But Zeke Naji tonight does knock down a 3. I thought he had a good. One thing I'll say on Hartenstein real quick. That's just a basketball takeaway. He plays really hard, and I actually like how quickly he releases off of screens, and especially off of the catch. So when he short rolls, he did this tonight, I think 2 different times. When he catches it on the short roll, it's a quick go, so that when the defense
Yeah.
has to show and recover, like he's really, really good at exploding out of that for a bucket, and it really paid off in this one. Not only does it pay off with points, but when you do that, and he doesn't have a reputation yet because he hasn't played enough, but when you do that over and over and you start to play more and more minutes, it actually affects the way the defense rotates because it puts more pressure on the rim. So there are some little micro things that he does in this game. Zeke Naji goes 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, and it really stood out to me. This was all early, but it stood out to me because he took 2 threes and goes 0 of 2, and he had a bad shooting night the other night. He gets his third one,
Immediately.
and they all came in rhythm. And sometimes if you're playing and you miss 2 shots and they came in a row, and then you get a third one, but it's like right on the heels of the other 2. You're kind of like, well, I just missed 2, and I don't want to be the ball hog. He had that, but it was the right play was to shoot it no matter what, and he did, and he knocked it down.
And you want to see that type of aggression, especially from a rookie who's,
Yep.
like everything about him is saying that Zeke Naji is a shooter.
Right.
So the defense still has to respect you because they know you as a shooter. They don't know you as anything else, and you keep shooting. Like you said, after you take 2 shots, especially with the group that you have in around you, you're like, okay, I'm not going to shoot this no matter what. Because the defense has already started collapsing. I missed 2 in a row. What is everyone going to think if I miss this next one? He did not miss the next one. He shoots it and shows that regardless if I'm having a good night or a bad night, I'm going to take open shots.
I think it actually speaks to a player's approach when they're able to do that, because there's just this people are just wired differently with how they approach basketball, and I think Jokic is the ultimate example of this. It's beyond ego, it's beyond all that stuff. He's just like, what is the best thing to happen in this possession?
Right.
Does it involve me? Does it not? And I think Zeke has a lot of that in him as well, where it's just like, well, the right thing is for me to shoot. I don't care. The emotional aspect of it is almost removed. That's why I call his shot mechanical. I think he plays a very mechanical game of like, this is the best place for me to be. This is the best thing. This is the best shot. This is not my shot. It's very mechanical with him.
Room for growth for Zeke, though. We haven't seen that rebounding yet
Yeah.
a ton, which was supposed to be one of the most ready-to-go sort of skill sets that he had. And maybe one of my bigger issues with the bench tonight, Monte Morris leads that group in rebounding with 3. So that's
how'd that
3
happen?
combined between Zeke and Hartenstein. And obviously, that's not good enough.
I mean, the way that happens is one team does not miss.
Oh, that is
At
true.
all.
That's a good
actually
point,
a great
Dev.
point.
So, the only time that it came was, on push-outs or just, scramble plays. But the Wizards were not missing when that group was in the game.
It's a great point, man. It's a really great point. We keep going down the list here. Campazzo. I actually think it's funny. Campazzo. I see him in the comments getting killed by some people. I think Campazzo was fantastic tonight. He was a -7 tonight, but he goes 5 of 7 from the field, including 2 of 4. Number one, he's as much of a gamer as Jokic and Murray is, in my opinion. He's just shown that when his back's against the wall, his best is there, and he's just like a refuse to lose type player. I like his defense. I like his decision making. Campazzo to me, so clearly a guy that I want to keep in the rotation going forward. Even when you start to think back about everybody coming back, PJ Dozier coming back, I think for me, Campazzo, I prefer him in the rotation. I don't know who gets cut out, but I prefer him in the rotation for sure.
When Malone looks back at this game, especially that last play of the game, because that's the one that you're going to keep thinking about, Facu made 2 great reads to push Westbrook off. He switches over, and then it's forced into Berton's hands for him to take the 3. Facu is a high IQ player that just understands where to be, and he knows how to do it. And what we've been seeing lately is just him being way more comfortable. He looks great with the ball in his hands. He's making things happen around him. And there's no way that you look at a game like this and think Facu was like one of the negatives of the game. I don't care what the plus minus says.
In that stretch of the second quarter, there were moments where the Wizards were very content to post him up. Eventually, Denver sent help. The rotations were not crisp at any point tonight, and that was part of it. But to reduce everything that went wrong in that second quarter to Campazzo is a bit much. And I think, I don't know, I mean, maybe I have to rewatch this game, but to me, he was very clearly a positive player tonight.
Well, sometimes we make the game too complicated, because let me ask you this here. Monte Morris has been on this team for a while. He's a veteran, right? Zeke Naji, Isaiah Hartenstein, Campazzo, and a little bit of R.J. Hampton. That was your bench unit. All of those guys are new to Denver. All of those guys are new to each other. All of those guys are new to Malone's defensive principles and rotations or whatever. So are we overcomplicating this to just say today, for whatever reason, they tried to play too many new guys together? I mean, they kind of had to, but do you think that... Because to your point, second quarter, third quarter, we were talking about this. Like, how is Denver this bad at rotating? Well, rotating is, in addition to execution, it's also chemistry. It's also defensive chemistry.
I mean, also with that unit, and what I've been a big proponent on is I don't understand why people are upset about Barton or Michael Porter Jr. in that second unit, because you have to have a guy that's willing to take the shots. You have to have a guy that's gonna like put pressure on the defense, who's gonna score. In that second unit, the Wizards scored a shit ton of points, but guess who didn't? The Nuggets didn't, because they didn't even have a guy that could score. You have these rookies who are all trying to feed off of each other and all trying to make all of these hustle plays in that unit, but nobody can score the basketball. So now you're starting to force things, or you're starting to just like defer to everyone else, and you don't have a guy. So this was a night that you've seen that you need someone in that second unit that could put the ball in the basket, or it's just going to be a lot of just hustle plays that's not going to amount to anything.
I mean, it is, Nuggets are, I think, now 1-2 without Barton, and the 2 losses are to teams. Boston, that game could have gone either way, and then not tonight, Washington, and you're like, yeah, that is. But this is another thing. This is another theme of the Keep It at 1000 podcast with George Karl, which is still pertinent. If you haven't listened to it, you're not a real Nuggets fan. Who would not want to listen to?
Wow.
I'm serious. You're not one of the most iconic coaches in Nuggets history speaking about the Denver Nuggets. Like, it's great stuff. But one of the themes that he's really sold me on is just how important veterans are, and also chemistry, and guys just know each other. And Denver brought in 7 new pieces this year. That's a lot. Teams can bring in 7 new players, but like most of them, you're not considering this or that. Denver had meaningful players tonight that had to play minutes. JaMychal Green, Zeke Naji, Isaiah Hartenstein, Campazzo, R.J. Hampton. That's 5 out of 10 guys that played minutes tonight that are new to this team, and I really do wonder if that's part of it. And when people hit me up on social all the time with trades, who are the 2 guys that are traded the most?
Gary and Barton.
And you think like, you watch a game like this and you're like, yeah, sometimes it is this guy's better, and it's more talent and everything rises, and maybe there is a rip the Band-Aid off sort of moment Denver's headed to with those 2 guys in particular. But this season, it's also another thing where it's like, you watch a game like this and you go, this team doesn't have chemistry built yet.
Or just enough guys. Like, you just 2 games in a row where you go, all right, well, that's one too many fringe rotation caliber players. And I mean, look, Barton struggled at times this year, but you're looking around at that unit in the second quarter going, anyone have anything here? A little something? And it might have been nice to have through.
R.J. Hampton was cut out of the rotation in the first half, put in again. It was very clearly well, let me just see if this guy has energy. Good move or not a good move in your opinion, Dev?
I mean, you saw some good plays and things that were popping. Like, he's just everywhere on the court. But also, I think that Malone looked at that second unit and was like, I need to put someone in there, or even stagger where I have a starter with this group, because somebody has to score. I don't know what I can do if I put a full hockey lineup in of 5 guys that don't know what to do or they can't score. Right. There's nothing for me to do. I think that he kind of just got lost in translation of trying to find some type of scoring or putting Jamal and Jokic with that second unit, that it was like, okay, I have to take somebody out. That's the guy that you would have to take out with that group. Yeah.
Any R.J. Hampton takes from tonight?
I agree with everything Dev said.
Nicely done. He did knock down a 3 tonight. I still like R.J. I think when Dozier's back, I would be surprised if Arche gets into a game. I mean, on a game like tonight, I think Dozier is clearly the guy that gets that call above an RJ Hampton, and that's okay. Again, there'll be more opportunities.
I think you can look at this time though and say, well done, RJ. Your approach was admirable, I think, during these games. And the next time an opportunity comes around, you've worked your way into the outer layer of Malone's circle of trust.
Yeah, and it'll be in Malone's head. It's like, okay, this game is going slow. Nobody's playing hard. Nobody's diving on the floor. What can I do? Oh, I have two guys at the end of the bench, and Facu and also RJ that I know is going to bring energy, and they're going to play hard no matter what. Let's put them in at times, even though they're not going to be in the lineup. They're going to be like part of the let's start something type of group.
Man, doing a loser's lounge with some like screamo behind you is like.
It doesn't feel like it always happens when they lose. Somebody puts on like metal at the DNVR bar. I feel like I'm on edge.
The comments are yelling at me.
Now. It's like pretty empty, pretty dead. It does feel like the comment. This is what music would sound like if the comment section was a music. Just, you guys suck. Whatever.
I am sorry about Jermichael Green.
What else do we take away from this game? I did feel like Jokic. Last game I thought he ran out of steam. I don't think it was that, but I do think Jokic's frustration showed more and more as the game went on, and he looked in a way that I think hurt him. We haven't seen a lot of that this year, but I thought this was a game where he started to play a little worse as he was getting more and more frustrated.
I think so. I also think a little bit of credit here to Robin Lopez and Alex Len, who played much better defense in those second and third quarters. They just did. But to your point, Adam, I agree. I thought you saw it sort of permeate his facial expressions, his body language a little bit. Jokic just done such a great job of stuffing this stuff down, and I don't think anyone would blame him for starting to feel it. We saw it a little bit tonight, though, for sure.
I mean, I think that he's just such a competitor that he wants to win every single time.
Yeah.
He sees a team like the Wizards, and he's like, this team is not us. This is not what we are. So I think that he's just really frustrated about the moments. I don't think that he's like trying to go at certain people or call people out, but it's just kind of a leadership quality of, hey, this is us, and I'm bringing it every night. Why aren't you guys?
Yeah. Let's take our final break. Harrison Wind is wrapping up. Jamal Murray speaking now, and then when he's done, he'll come over here and share us. And I'm really curious to hear what everybody said today in the post-game commentary, because this has got to be one of the more frustrating losses of the entire season.
Well, I'm sure you've heard us talk about it by now many times, Strava Craft Coffee. If you haven't tried it, you can subscribe now and save 20% with the Strava Craft Coffee subscription. A bunch of you have already taken advantage of the one-time code. Now you can save 20% off your favorite coffee forever. You'll never have to put your credit card info again. So DNVR 20 either gets you 20% off your first order off every single shipment of the subscription service, which sends that to you every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks. You get to choose. You also choose what flavor, what dosage. Finally, if you're still not sure, what is Strava Craft Coffee? Well, it's the CBD infused coffee, so you can get your morning jolt without all that anxiety. Some people have reported some alleviated IBS, joint pain, all that good stuff. I use Strava. It's a genuine sell job for me. I think it's done wonders for me in the morning. So check out Strava Craft Coffee. Use code DNVR20 to save 20%. And now it is time to stall.
Where are you going?
Is this Votes playlist?
This is Votes playlist.
That's right. It's not quite time for the madness that is called. I'll just scream this whole read.
Yeah, just do it in
Not quite time for the madness that is college basketball in March, but that doesn't mean the fun has to wait. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is giving all new players the chance to cash $100. New customers can bet $1 on any team to hit a three-pointer, a single three-pointer, in any basketball game this week. And if your team makes it rain, you cash $100. Might I suggest the Washington Wizards, so long as Davis Bertans is playing? That's right. All it takes is for one three-pointer being hit by your chosen team to turn $1 into $100. Does that sound like a no-brainer? That's because it is a no-brainer. This slam dunk of an offer won't be around forever, so head to the App Store now, download DraftKings Sportsbook, and get in on all of the action. DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion to its customers since 2012, so they know a thing or two about big paydays, and you know that this is safe, reliable, and they're not messing around with your money. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR to get your shot to turn $1 into $100 when you bet on any team to hit a three-pointer in any basketball game this week. That's promo code DNVR for new customers. One shot, 100-to-1 odds on any basketball game, any basketball team to hit a three-point shot. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. Winnings paid out for $25 free bets. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. That's 1-800-522-4700.
Whew. People are so grouchy after even my guy Tron7NJ. Long
that guy.
time. Me
Love
too.
that
I on the last foul, I said that I hate the call more than anything, but that I don't think refs would overturn it. And he's like, "What? Don't carry water for a poor and." I'm not gonna carry water for it. It's like my least favorite call. I hate it, but it is a call that they would upheld. That was my only point.
You're talking about the Bertans one,
the Bertans one,
or the Beal drive?
The Bertans one.
Yeah.
I think. Personally, I think both, like I said, if challenged, we'll see the last 2-minute report. I don't think either one's going to be overturned or I mean,
agreed.
I think they're both going to say good call or what do they say? Correct call.
CC, correct call.
CC, correct.
CC.
They make it so hard. CNC, CC, it's a GG, it's a CFI, whatever. But the second one, I think, is no question. Like, if you look at the angle, Jermichael Green jumps like 3 feet, 4 feet forward. I mean, it's
The
just,
Beal one, yeah. He jumps too early, too.
he jumps too early. Harrison, I'm so curious with this post-game commentary. On the Malone scale of anger, we used to have the Malanger scale, and I can't remember what the hottest level of was, but where was he?
Wasn't the hottest.
Wasn't the hottest.
Not close even.
Not even close.
Yeah, not even close. I thought he was going to be hotter than he was.
Okay.
I'd say he was a 3
Out of
3.5 out of 5. Is that what the scale is
I have
out
no
of?
idea. Could have. Yeah, we'll go 3. All right, 3.5.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the last play. Malone kind of stood up for Jermichael Green in the post game. He said he thought he was vertical on the last play. He thought there was an illegal screen on that play to free Beal that didn't get called. As well, he said, quote, "I thought Jermichael Green played good legal defense." He didn't say anything about the Bradley Beal or the Davis Bertans 3-point foul.
Oh, so he's talking about the last one. Or
he's talking about the Beal drive and Jermichael Green jumps to contest.
Sucks so bad for the game to end that way. It's like the most dissatisfying. I don't even want to talk about whether or
But
not
it's
it's
also
a foul
like-
or a technicality.
But it's like if you're a ref in that spot and Jermichael Green jumps like 2 full seconds early and lands on him, like, I don't know. Can you swallow your whistle in that moment?
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
Malone stood up for him there. He was asked about, I think he was asked about the free throw discrepancy, 34-18.
Yeah.
The Wizards outshot the Nuggets from the line. He said he wasn't going to comment on the free throws, but it had nothing to do with attacking the rim. So read.
Meaning Denver was attacking the rim and not getting calls.
I think that's his way of not saying that the refs did a
read
very
between
bad
the lines.
quarter.
Does Malone not get paid very much?
You just want him to go all Fizdale?
He just will never get a fine. And, like, I don't blame. Maybe he's not paid. Coach salaries are not.
If Facundo Campazzo gets a raw enough deal.
It was going to be so funny when his first ever fine
We're
for
gonna bet on
criticizing
that.
official is like a meaningless Campazzo.
He's got to put 2 kids through college. He's
Cronkies need to pay a little more for the coaches, so they need to have like
a pot.
Yeah, like here we're giving you
pot.
$5 million a year plus $250,000 for fines. You get up to 5 fines per year. You got to use them however you need.
But if they carried over, he'd be up to like over $1 million.
He's just not
fine
using
money.
them.
That's what's happening.
$1.5 million
The
fine money
NBA
right
can
now.
like or the Nuggets can start fining Malone if he doesn't use his fine money. They need to give a fine budget. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you.
Jokic has like
And hey,
blood coming out of
the
like every
Cronkies-
armpit.
Famous for just throwing money around.
Yeah, it's so true.
So,
Can you imagine the meeting when Tim Conley goes into Stan's office? It's like, I need some more money for the budget.
$500K
It's a,
for fines?
It's for a fine. It's like, no, that's on you. That's on
we're still
you.
trying to get the team on TV, but that's on the priority
Cronky's
list.
taking some strays.
Jeez.
Are they strays, though?
Oh, they're not really strays. Yeah, I mean,
Davis Bertans, 35 points, 9 of 11 from the 3-point line. Malone said he thought we had awful game plan discipline on Davis Bertans. We had awful KYP on Davis Bertans tonight. And I asked Jamal about what they needed to do better on Bertans as well. And he was like, he took 11 shots. They were all threes. They were 11 threes. We got to stay connected to him. We know what he's going to do.
yeah.
Shoot a three.
It shouldn't be that complicated. We got to be more physical. And he also said we just gave him way too many open looks throughout the night.
Yeah. Man, so he was calm in this one, like on the calmer side.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a 4 or 5. I think that's the scale.
Nuggets 5 wins in a row, 3 losses in a row, 3 wins in a row, 2 losses in a row. I mean,
Hell
this
yeah.
is a little bit of a
You know what we should
reverse
do?
Fibonacci sequence
Full
here.
referendum after every game.
Every
That's
game.
what we do.
Who do
right?
we trade? Who do we
Yeah,
keep?
who just cut? I mean,
Just
there's a
cut 'em.
handful of these guys. I would rather just. No, I'm just kidding.
It could be a
Yeah.
long season, though. Even if it goes well.
What else we got here?
Well, MPJ's kind of big picture quote about the state of the team if there's any worries like within the locker room. He said, we're not worried, but we definitely need to have more of a sense of urgency. We got to look ourselves in the mirror every day. Some days we play really well, really good, and then we're a different team the next day. So that was his kind of big picture thought on the state of the team.
I don't really have any comments on that.
He's not
Honestly,
wrong.
guys, I don't have a lot of stuff tonight.
Well, I saw a Jamal Murray quote. Someone just added us and asked why D-line looks so much like Dev tonight. Did Jamal Murray say something about not being worried, Harrison? Did you catch that?
Yeah. Oh, it was kind of a similar question to the one post to MPJ, just like, what's the worry level? He was like, you guys are worried? Who's worried? You guys are worried? And then he said, I'm not supposed to be concerned. I'm supposed to just play basketball.
We're just playing basketball.
I'm not supposed to be?
Yeah. Not supposed to be concerned. I'm just supposed to play
I
basketball.
don't know what that means, but all right.
I don't either. Let's see here.
It's like, all right, Jamal's quotes are always like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
really candid one way or another. But,
all right.
yeah.
But the thing about Jamal's comments are, it's when he plays well, he has the comments.
I know,
so
dude.
true,
He's
man.
feeling
doesn't
spicy.
say anything
I know.
cool
He gets
or
so
anything
spicy,
different
man.
when they lose.
It's so true.
But when he plays well, it's like
Yeah.
what I tell you guys?
Yeah, it's so
Loves
true.
it.
dude.
Nothing.
He
You
does
didn't tell
love
us
it.
anything.
He does love it.
So funny.
MPJ had some good stuff about his shot. I asked him just what seeing a couple threes go down does for his confidence, and if he just has to keep shooting himself out of this slump. He said he's just going to keep shooting. It won't stay like that for long. And then he also said there were some small mechanical things that he noticed in his jumper.
Who is this?
Michael Porter Jr.
Oh, wow.
I guess just from looking at film and just kind of reviewing stuff. He said his balance, the arch on his shot, that's some of the things he's trying to work through right now. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting.
Anything else from this post game here? It doesn't sound. This
Yeah.
sounds like a little bit of a dud one. I mean, the impression I'm getting, Harrison. I always go back and watch these to like kind of get a sense of them for myself. But it sounds a little bit like the team is just kind of a hands in the air. Like there's nothing to talk about. We just aren't that great right now, and I don't. Got to just keep chopping wood, I guess.
Right. Like we just didn't show up in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Right.
Screwed ourselves.
And it's true,
And then
man. Like
almost came back.
in life, it's the same as in sports. You always can't like just articulate or put your finger on what exactly is wrong. Like why.
I mean, if I were an athlete, I would have a hard time not sometimes just, hey, like, we just need to play better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like, do this differently or this guy should have played. Like, we just didn't step up tonight.
Yeah.
But that's not anything fans want to hear, so.
I will say this is like small consolation. I'm not trying to do the orange slice thing here, but I do think that this was a step forward for Michael Porter. But I still think the game is like an up in mixed grade. But compare it to last game. I just think his approach was meaningfully better in this one. He did some meaningfully better things. He did some bad things still, but it was a nice bounce back for him, if not a good one.
Not even only MPJ. Jamal Murray also.
Yes.
Like this
Yes.
was a game that Michael Porter Jr. played into some minutes that he wouldn't have got earlier in the season because he didn't make the defensive plays or he wasn't trusted enough to be on the court for the last shot. So that's for sure a positive. And then Jamal Murray, we got to see emotion out of him that we haven't got to see all year long. He's making big shots. He's scoring at will. He's doing everything that he has in the game. And there was not a time in the game that I was he's laboring or he's tired or he's anything. He didn't look hurt at all because he's making shots. And that's the Jamal that you want to see.
Nuggets now fall to 7th in the Western Conference. The Portland Trailblazers, by the way, 18-10. They get a win tonight behind Damian Lillard, 43 points.
43 and 16.
Now
I
move
think you get the game winner.
Three full spots now ahead of the Nuggets, that Portland Trailblazers team, and for the 4 seed. So I think we all keep looking at that 4 seed because the 1, 2, 3 looks.
There's separation there.
There's a lot of separation there, so you keep looking at that 4, thinking. I mean, when we ask where's Denver rank in the league, we think in the Western Conference they are at the top of that next tier, but. Portland continues to find ways to win. It feels like Denver continues to find ways to lose. Up like this, but when they lose, it's almost like they're finding ways to lose. Tonight it was a 46-point second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got 2 more games on this road trip, the Cavs and the Hawks, 2 teams that the Nuggets are better than.
Yeah.
But you can't sit here and say right now that Denver's going to go 2-0 over that stretch by
No,
any means.
you cannot.
I mean, could they blow out the Cavs tomorrow? Sure. Or
Friday.
in 2 days? Sure. Sure. But then could they also follow that up and lose to the Hawks? Sure.
And they could lose to the Cavs. I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see where this Nuggets team goes. This season, man, it's such a test. It's such a test of the Denver Nuggets. It's a test of everybody, the audience as well. My mentions, it's a test of the mentions. It's a test of everything. But, Nuggets don't get it done in this one. I guess we'll just be back on Friday night.
Yeah, they might get it done the next time, Adam.
They might get it done. They
We'll
can start
see.
a new streak. I mean, it really is. We talk about Cavs. It's a winnable game. You got Hawks, another winnable one.
If you want to close on two positive notes, and we've hit them both, but MPGA's process was better tonight, and I think we all feel this way, but you see Jamal Murray do that one more time. You see it with your two eyes, and you go, that's right. That's not conceptual. It's not hypothetical. That's who he can be. That's who I think he will be when it matters. This is highly encouraging from the Jamal Murray perspective.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was big from Jamal Murray tonight.
I mean, that was a bubble Murray performance.
Yeah,
21 of the
those
four.
clutch shots down the stretch. And what was awesome is, if you ever watch Jamal Murray's pregame warm-up, like he practices
That shot, yep.
logo shot.
He sure does.
Before every single game.
He sure does.
And he hit it.
And he hit it for sure. All right, thanks for riding with us, guys, in the Losers Lounge. Losers Lounge is for the real ones. We're going to be back tomorrow. Don't forget to check out the DNVR Nuggets podcast. We had Zeke Naji. If you're behind on podcasts, Zeke Naji was on the show. You can check out the Keeping It 1000 podcast, and then, of course, all the other podcasts throughout the week. I'll be doing a solo one tomorrow, breaking down some of the detailed notes from this game. We'll see everybody on Friday.
See ya.